Deep beneath the eternal frost of Siberia, buried under hundreds of millions of years of ancient coal, something was found. Something so strange, so impossible, that it silenced not just a village but the entire Soviet scientific community. It wasn't a new mineral. It wasn't the fossil of some prehistoric beast. It was a sarcophagus, a perfectly carved marble tomb, so precise in its design that no one could believe it was created by any known ancient civilization. Inside lay a woman, her skin pale as porcelain, her body untouched by decay, suspended in a pinkish liquid that shimmered like something not of this earth. Her long brown hair floated gently around her shoulders, as if she were simply sleeping. And resting beside her head, a small black metallic object. No symbols, no buttons, no known technology. But decades later, when the world embraced smartphones, many who had seen it would whisper, that was no relic. That was a device. And then came the detail that shattered every timeline we thought we knew. The age of the coal layer where the tomb was found was over 800 million years. Older than dinosaurs, older than trees, older than multicellular life itself. So who was she? Where did she come from? And most chilling of all, how did a human body end up in a layer of earth formed before humans or any animals ever existed? Could it be that everything we thought we knew about the history of humanity was wrong? It was an ordinary autumn morning, September 5th, 1969. In the remote Siberian village of Rajavkik, a group of coal miners prepared for another long day underground. No one expected that, buried deep beneath the earth, something unimaginable was waiting. Over 70 meters below the surface, surrounded by darkness and the steady rhythm of pickaxes hitting stone, one miner heard something strange. His tool struck a surface that didn't feel like rock or coal. It was too smooth, too solid. He brushed the debris away, and what emerged wasn't natural. It was polished stone, deliberately shaped. More miners gathered, and together, they uncovered a hollow chamber sealed inside the coal. The walls were cold and carved, as if someone had designed them and buried them long ago. Then their flashlights caught a glint of something white. Reflective, silent. It was a sarcophagus, 3 meters long, 1 meter high, made of flawless white marble, so precise that no known ancient tool could have crafted it. And when they lifted the lid, what they saw inside made time stand still. Lying peacefully inside was a young woman. Her body showed no signs of decay, no rot, no damage. Her skin was whiter than ivory. Her long brown hair flowed around her like silk. Her features were soft and serene, as if she had only just fallen asleep. Her eyelashes, her lips, even her fingernails, all perfectly intact. But floating beside her head was something stranger still, a small black metallic object. No buttons, no wires, no seams. In 1969, no one knew what it was. But decades later, those who remembered it said the same thing. It looked just like a smartphone. Her dress was even more impossible. A delicate, translucent white fabric that hadn't aged or frayed, despite being buried in the earth for what should have been countless millennia. This woman didn't belong to any known era of humanity. The miners, unsure what they were looking at, made a bold decision. They opened the tomb themselves, and within days the consequences followed. The Soviet military arrived. Helicopters touched down. Armed officials locked the area under quarantine, citing a possible biological threat. The miners were isolated, interrogated, and after that, they never spoke about it again. The government tried to remove the sarcophagus, but it was too heavy, especially with the strange pink fluid still inside. So they drained the liquid, and that's when everything changed. As the fluid was siphoned away, drop by drop, the woman's flawless skin began to lose its glow. Her color faded from white to gray, then to blue. Her softness, her presence, her mysterious vitality disappeared. It was as if they had just killed something that wasn't quite dead. The body and the remaining fluid were transferred to a top-secret lab in Novosk. There, the Soviet Union's best scientists began their tests. carbon dating, fabric analysis, isotope scans, but the results made no sense. Every method failed. The data was off the charts. So they turned to the coal itself, the geological layer where the tomb had been found. And the answer left them stunned. The coal was 800 million years old. Not 8, not 80, 800. That's before the dinosaurs, before trees, before multicellular life as we know it. Which means if this woman really came from that time, then the world had just uncovered a question no one was ready to answer. Who was she, and how did she get here? Discovery is not always a gift. Sometimes it's a burden, and sometimes it's a curse. What happened after the sarcophagus was unearthed in Rajavkik didn't just vanish into forgotten Soviet archives. It became something darker, something whispered in fear, passed down in silence. The first tragedy struck just days after the body was transported. The miner who first struck the mysterious stone was found dead. Authorities called it a traffic accident, said he lost control of his motorcycle and crashed into a truck. But his family rejected the story. He didn't drink. He was cautious, quiet, dependable. They said he had changed after the discovery. He'd wake up screaming, staring into nothing, whispering to himself. It was as if something had followed him back, not in flesh, but in spirit. Then, weeks later, a second miner went missing. His body was found curled on a riverbank. His arms clutched his chest. His skin had turned blue, as if frozen, but the weather that day was mild. No snow, no wind. Doctors called it sudden hypothermia. But the villagers began to murmur. They gave the incident a name, the curse of the Stone Princess. They said she hadn't died. She had been sleeping, and we woke her. Over the next 4 years, the pattern grew darker. A third man, transferred far from the site, collapsed from unexplained heart failure. Another vanished from public life after descending into a deep depression. Families quietly moved away. Doors were locked. The mine was abandoned. Even the forest fell silent. Hunters refused to go near it. Wildlife disappeared. Some said they felt watched, not by eyes, but by something older, something ancient. And then in 1973, the Soviet military returned. But this time it wasn't a few officials. It was an operation, full lockdown. Roads were closed, checkpoints erected, armed guards deployed. The forest was sealed. Locals were barred from entry. Officially, it was declared a biological hazard zone. Unofficially, it disappeared from maps and from memory. But behind the scenes, something even bigger was unfolding. Near a quiet lake just kilometers from the mine, 2 more tombs were discovered. Identical in design, same white marble, same pink fluid. Each held a preserved body, just as perfect, just as unnatural. This wasn't a one-time anomaly. It was a pattern. Someone or something had buried them here with purpose. From that point forward, silence became policy. Everyone involved, soldiers, scientists, transport crews, was forced to sign lifelong non-disclosure agreements. Many were relocated to remote regions. Others simply vanished. The records disappeared. Lab results, photographs, even fluid samples erased from national archives, as if it had never happened. The story was buried just like the tombs themselves, and those who tried to speak out, they were either discredited or worse. Across cultures, across time, humanity has always feared what it does not understand. But what we fear most is what looks like us, yet isn't. A woman flawless, untouched by time, asleep in a way that defies death, lying next to a device that mirrors our own modern technology, long before we ever invented it. Ancient myths all warn us, never disturb what sleeps. But in 1969, we did exactly that. And the price may still be unfolding. When something threatens to rewrite everything we believe about the world, there are usually only 2 choices: reveal it and face the chaos, or bury it deeper than it ever was. In the case of the marble sarcophagus found in Rajavkik, the choice was clear. In 1973, 4 years after the discovery, the Soviet military launched a classified operation known only to insiders as Operation Thistle, named after the district where it all began. This wasn't a routine cleanup. It was a full-scale strategic lockdown. 3 concentric security perimeters were constructed around the original mine site. Armed guards patrolled every access trail. Watchtowers were built. Checkpoints were monitored around the clock. Villagers were evacuated or forbidden from ever entering the forest again. No journalists, no outsiders, no explanations. To the rest of the world, the region became a blank spot on the map, erased, forgotten, deliberately ignored. But inside that ring of silence, something else was happening. During that same summer, while surveying nearby seismic activity, a geological team made another shocking find. Just meters below the surface of a glacial lake, they unearthed 2 more sarcophagi. Same size, same white marble, same uncanny precision in design, and inside each tomb another woman, perfectly preserved, female, lying in pink fluid identical to the first, each with a strange, black metallic object placed beside her head. No markings, no seams, no explanation. 3 tombs, 3 women, all frozen in time. Theories quickly swirled among those who saw them. Were these women part of a royal bloodline long forgotten? Scientists, explorers? Or were they the last survivors of a world that once existed, and then vanished without leaving a single line in our history books? But those questions would never make it to the public. As soon as the 2nd and 3rd sarcophagi were found, the Soviet command shut down all communication channels. Orders came from the top, maybe even above military authority. Every photograph was confiscated. Samples of the pink fluid were removed. Even the soil from the dig site was boxed and flown to a classified research facility. Scientists involved were split up, some reassigned to distant Arctic weather stations. Others never heard from again. One respected paleontologist, in a private letter that was later leaked in fragments, wrote a single haunting sentence: "This discovery will never be made public. Not because it's untrue, but because it's too true." Among the few scientists who secretly discussed the case, a quiet agreement began to form. The pink fluid wasn't just a preservative. It was something far more advanced. A biological suspension matrix that halted decomposition and perhaps even paused aging altogether. It kept the skin elastic, preserved neural pathways, maintained the shimmer of hair follicles. Whatever created it wasn't just intelligent. It was far beyond anything humanity has ever developed. So then the question becomes, why hide it? The answer is simple and terrifying. If word got out that a woman, seemingly human, was found buried in a geological layer over 800 million years old, then our entire timeline would collapse. Textbooks would be rewritten. Religions would face existential questions. Institutions would lose control of the narrative. And the world, a world built on structure, order, and belief, would be plunged into chaos. And so, silence became the only choice. There is no museum exhibit, no documentary, no academic publication, just a forgotten site in the Siberian wilderness, and a story sealed behind steel and secrecy. But if you travel far enough to the edge of the abandoned forest, where the wind never seems to stop, you'll find a single granite stone, unmarked except for one line. In 1969, at this site, a young woman was discovered. Her tomb, older than the stars we now gaze upon. No name, no date, just silence. 3 women, 3 marble tombs, a strange pink liquid that halts decay, and a burial site older than life itself. When something so impossible is found, the human mind does what it must. It reaches for meaning. And slowly, theories begin to form, theories that challenge everything we thought we knew about who we are, where we come from, and who came before us. The first theory is perhaps the most grounded and maybe the most disturbing. What if she wasn't alien at all? What if she was human, just not our kind of human? This idea suggests the existence of an ancient super-civilization that thrived hundreds of millions of years ago, long before the Cambrian explosion, when most complex life began to appear on Earth. In this view, humanity is not the first intelligent species on this planet, only the latest. There may have been others, long forgotten, long buried, Imagine a civilization with biotechnology capable of preserving bodies perfectly, with tools so precise they could shape marble smoother than anything in our modern world, with materials so durable they could survive entire epochs. Then, some cataclysm, an asteroid, a polar shift, a mass extinction event. Whatever it was, it wiped everything away. Their cities crumbled, their records vanished, their history erased, all except one woman, preserved beneath the earth, waiting. This theory is known among fringe scholars as the Tushul hypothesis, named after the Siberian district where her tomb was found. It suggests that history is not a straight line but a cycle, and we may be walking the path of civilizations long gone without even realizing it. But that's just one possibility. Others believe she didn't come from Earth at all. Her pale skin, the unknown fabric, the black device beside her, none of it matches any known human artifact or biology. According to this theory, she was part of an interstellar expedition, a traveler from another world, possibly a scout or a scientist. Her tomb wasn't a coffin but a cryogenic pod designed to preserve her body across space and time. Something went wrong. She crash-landed. The pod was buried and forgotten. The black object beside her, it might be a memory archive, a communication device, or a beacon still waiting for someone or something to answer. The pink liquid, a nanotech suspension matrix, capable of halting decay and preserving neural tissue for unimaginable lengths of time. Her features, her physiology, may have adapted to a planet with weaker sunlight, lower gravity, or harsher conditions. If this theory is true, she wasn't alone. She was part of something larger, and we may have just found the first trace of it. And then there's the boldest theory, the one that doesn't place her in the past, or the stars, but in our future. Some researchers propose that she was a time traveler, a human from thousands of years ahead, sent back in time with technology we haven't even imagined yet. The sarcophagus was a temporal vessel, the black object a time anchor, the pink liquid a chronostasis gel that not only preserved her body but froze her in time itself. Something failed. The pod crashed into a prehistoric Earth, and she was left behind. If this theory is true, then the implications are staggering. Was she a scientist, a volunteer, a fugitive? What kind of world did she come from, and why was she sent back? Could her mission have altered our timeline without us ever knowing? There's even a hybrid theory, one that blends them all. Maybe she was human, but not from here. Perhaps she came from a lost human colony in space, a failed expedition that looped back to Earth, a homeworld that no longer remembered her. Maybe we left Earth long ago, forgot where we came from, and she returned to find nothing but silence. Each theory is wild, each one hard to believe. But if she is real, then something about our understanding of the world is deeply, fundamentally wrong. Either history is incomplete, evolution is misunderstood, or science has missed something enormous, something so big, we built entire civilizations without ever knowing it was missing. She doesn't lie in a museum. You won't find her in any history book or official archive. Instead, she rests beneath layers of earth and silence, erased from memory, preserved only in rumors and shadows. And maybe that's the most disturbing part of this entire story. Because what if this isn't a mystery we're meant to solve, but one we were told to forget? Modern humans have walked the Earth for about 200,000 years, but our planet is over 4 or 5 billion years old. That's more than 99% of the time in which we simply didn't exist. So we have to ask, what happened in all that missing time? Could another intelligent civilization have lived, risen, and vanished long before us? If someone or something had the power to preserve a human body perfectly across 800 million years, then we are not the beginning of history. We are just another layer, another story, maybe not even the first. And if the woman found in that tomb wasn't from the past at all, what if she came from the future? What if her arrival on prehistoric Earth wasn't an accident, but a mission, a message, or maybe a warning? Some even believe this connects to the words of Jean Dixon, the controversial psychic whose visions, though often dismissed, included one eerie prophecy. She spoke of a time when, quote, a being will return not to conquer, but to reconnect what time has broken. At the time, no one paid much attention, but now some wonder, was she speaking of the Stone Princess? This isn't just about a strange body in the ground. This story challenges what we believe about science, about history, and about ourselves. Whether she was an ancient being, an alien traveler, or a human from the distant future, her existence, or even the possibility of it, asks the question we're often too afraid to say out loud. Have we truly uncovered the past, or have we only scratched the surface of something much older, much deeper, and far more mysterious? And now, it's your turn. What do you believe? Could she be proof of a lost civilization? A visitor from the stars? A remnant of a timeline we no longer remember? Drop your theory in the comments. Share your version of the truth. Because at 100K Wise, we don't just chase answers. We follow the questions, especially the ones that won't leave us alone. So subscribe, share the mystery, and we'll see you in the next question.